You've got time if you wish.
I'll seek the call after Senator Ludlam. Thank you.
Okay, over to you, Senator Ludlam.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for coming down, Mr McAllister. You indicated at the outset that you're still acting in the role. Any idea when your position will either be made permanent or somebody else will step up?
Currently, my predecessor, Alan Hughes, remains on long-term leave until the end of February. At that point, or in between now and then, I presume the Executive will look to deal with the issue of the Supervising Scientist position, the statutory position.
End of Feb. And we would expect Mr Hughes to come back at that point, or...?
I don't believe so.
No. Okay. So, it's probably fairly predictably, I'm going to ask you about the controlled, the potentially contaminated vehicle that left a secure area of the Ranger Uranium mine on Saturday, 3 November. It was eventually found not to be contaminated with radiation, but my reading of the situation is that that was more luck than anything else. Can you just talk us through what role the OSS has had to date in investigating that controlled vehicle incident?
As you've suggested, the incident occurred, I think it was Sunday the 3rd of November. Our officers have been out on site to investigate, along with the Northern Territory regulator, the Department of Mines and Energy. Currently, I'm awaiting on a report from my officers and to see the Northern Territory Government's report as well. So until I get a hold of those, I don't really want to go into too much detail.
All right. When are you expecting your officers to provide you with something, and when are you expecting the NT department to provide a report?
My officers have indicated in the next couple of weeks they'll have a report to me. The Northern Territory Government have also indicated a similar timeline.
Okay. The investigation, I won't ask you to answer on behalf of the NT Government, but as far as your officers are concerned, are you attempting to establish whether there's been a breach of the RPANS code or the Ranger Mining Authority?
We're attempting to find out the full situation of the incident. As to a breach of the RPANS code, you can't actually breach. The code is a set of guidelines, so Ranger adopt those practices and guidelines and put procedures in place to follow those practices and guidelines. We're assessing whether those procedures themselves have been broken in any way.
But if they haven't, it won't be a breach as such if it's just voluntary guidelines. Is that what you're saying?
It won't be a breach of the RPANS
code. Oh, that's
code,
interesting.
no.
All right. Now, the NT Department of Mines and Energy's website states that the team is committed to supporting and advancing this vital industry sector. That sounds more like a promotional than regulatory role to me, which is why we're going to be relying probably more heavily on your office to do the heavy lifting. How will your investigations interface with the DME investigation?
At a recent Mine Site Technical Committee meeting, we, along with the Northern Territory Government, committed to providing the investigations to all members of the Mine Site Technical Committee, and we will be assessing both reports in determining our view of whether a breach has occurred.
All right. Are there any other federal departments that you're aware of involved in investigating the incident?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of? Okay. Have you had any liaison or notification to UNESCO's World Heritage Committee about the incident that's just occurred?
No.
No? Okay. Does the incident have any impact on the Commonwealth's consideration of ERA's plan to develop underground mining at R3D at Ranger?
I think you'd have to probably pose that one to the Department of Industries.
To?
The Department of Industry.
Okay, so you don't see it as coming into that incident and the miners' proposals to expand underground are not linked as far as you're concerned?
Not at this point in time, no.
All right. So effectively, we need to wait for a couple of weeks. Just give us a sense of the degree to which your report and, as far as you understand, the department's report will be made public.
I can't speak for the Northern Territory Government, but in terms of our report, depending on to what level it is reported, we will be providing feedback not only to the Mine Site Technical Committee, but the Alligator Rivers Region Advisory Committee, which is the wider stakeholder group, and the minutes from the Alligator Rivers Region Advisory Committee are posted on our website, so it will become public in that fashion.
All right, thank you. I presume you're familiar with the 2003 Senate inquiry into the adequacy of Commonwealth regulation of uranium mining? You
yes,
are?
I am.
Which of those recommendations have been addressed and which remain unimplemented to your knowledge?
In terms of, we've provided a couple of responses on notice to you, Senator, over the past two hearings. We've provided information within those responses as to some of the recommendations we believe have been dealt with. Is there any particular recommendations you have that...
It probably makes more sense to have your answer in front of me rather than bat this back and forth across the table. What steps have been taken by the Commonwealth or any agencies, or indeed your agency, to address the UN Secretary-General's September 2011 recommendation that Australia conduct an in-depth assessment of the net cost impact of mining fissionable materials, i.e. uranium, on local communities and ecosystems? So it was an SG recommendation of 2011.
I'm unaware of any involvement in that. I'm not aware of that recommendation either. So
could you rule out that OSS has done anything in response to that recommendation?
I can rule that out, yes.
Are you able to check for us on notice whether anybody else has done so?
I can, yes, I can look into it, yes.
We'll move on. I just want to leave a bit of time for others if there are other questions. Can you just provide us with an update, if you could, of progress towards opening an underground mine at R3D, and as far as your officers are concerned?
Well, currently the exploration part of the proposal is progressed to a point of 1.8 kilometres of decline construction. ERA have also undertaken some exploratory drilling from that decline. Approximately 15 to 20% of the drilling is taken place. They intend to continue that decline down to approximately 3 kilometres, to my knowledge. 3 kilometres of length, not depth. And they will also be taking a bulk sample at some point to determine its geochemical characteristics and suitability for production.
Has anything come out of that, the decline and the tunnels that they've driven further from there, that would be classified as ore, or is it all considered overburden and waste?
At this point, it's all considered overburden waste. When they do undertake the bulk sample, that will be a bulk sample of ore. Okay.
But to your knowledge at the moment, not a single kilogram of what's come out of that excavation thus far would be considered
I couldn't
as ore.
guarantee that not a single kilogram, but the ore that comes, or the rock that comes out of the decline is discriminated, and any ore grade material is put on a separate stockpile.
Yeah.
And that is not to be processed unless Ranger get the authority to go ahead with.
Okay. So how much has had to be parked on that separate stockpile thus far?
I don't believe there's been any at this point in time.
Could you confirm just one way or another for us? Sorry to be pedantic.
I can do that, yes.
Yeah, not from the table,
Yep.
but I'll notice, thanks. Senator Pratt, did you have questions?
Yeah, it's only a short one, so...
No, I'll leave you be. Thanks, Chair.